The discussion of how to get the Department of the Air Force, the most innovative branch of the Department of Defense, and quite possibly the U.S. government as a whole, is now more urgent than ever following a recent report that shook both military and civilian communities. After Elon Musk, who is known for his aggressive and often divisive comments, said the U.S. Air Force had publicly acknowledged having created a fighter plane so advanced it can't be halted, it was not merely one more headline in his long record of incendiary remarks. This was different, something that held both the power of technological dominance and geopolitical implications. In a matter of moments, his words radiated outward, drawing in defense experts, aerospace engineers, policymakers, and even simple enthusiasts who track military progress with both wonder and trepidation. The mere possibility of an indestructible fighter plane, disclosed so serenely and unremarkably, generates fear and fascination. On the one hand, it creates a vision of unmatched innovation and national defense strength. On the one hand, it brings to mind a weapon so powerful that it would disrupt the careful balance of international power, redefine deterrence, strategy, and even the very philosophy of war in the 21st century. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel Spark Science, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. Unstoppable fighter jet is more than just a catchy phrase, it evokes a set of characteristics that, if actual, is a generation ahead of aerospace technology. Over the last few decades, air combat has developed in a typical fashion, stealth technologies upgraded here, more powerful engines there, marginally better sensors, radars, or avionics somewhere else. Every new fighter has been an advancement, yet increasingly similar to the previous one. Musk's words suggest something much more, a revolutionary leap that could put this plane decades ahead of any flying today. If the U.S. Air Force is ready to admit to its existence, it means this is no longer a prototype locked within the secrecy of black-budget labs. It means the idea is out there, potentially functioning, and potentially even deployed in ways that are still not revealed. The gravity of that admission alone compels observers to ponder what sort of aircraft this is, how it flies, and what its presence bodes for the future of conflict. To be invulnerable, such an aircraft would necessarily include hypersonic capabilities, velocities in excess of Mach 5, and arguably much higher. At these speeds, conventional interception techniques are no longer relevant. No existing enemy force at present has an air defense system that can consistently track and destroy a hypersonic fighter in real time. Traditional missile systems are just too slow, their targeting too constrained to keep up with something that can travel hundreds of miles in minutes. But speed is not invincibility. To be meaningfully called unstoppable, the plane must also be able to seamlessly integrate itself into its surroundings through stealth technologies way beyond today's radar-absorbing materials and angular lines of stealth fighters. Envision an aircraft that not only avoids detecting radar signatures, but continuously changes its electromagnetic profile in real time, making it all but invisible to detection systems. In battle, getting the first shot away unseen is usually the difference between life and death, and this plane appears to guarantee just that. But physical qualities, speed, stealth, maneuverability, are just half the answer. Equally significant, and perhaps more groundbreaking, is the potential for artificial intelligence to make this plane invulnerable. Musk himself has long discussed the double-edged nature of AI on the battlefield, at times cautioning against its risks but also celebrating its potential. If this fighter aircraft is indeed as cutting-edge as proposed, its autonomy is the likely key to its potency. Imagine an airplane that doesn't merely respond to danger as it occurs, but foresees it before it happens at all. With predictive software, sophisticated sensor fusion, and current battlefield information, it could plot evasive actions or attack patterns quicker than any human pilot could even dream of keeping up. Envision a fighter aircraft that knows it's about to be hit by a missile seconds before it actually occurs, its course correcting so accurately and quickly that it makes interception impossible through mathematics. These aren't human reflexes. These are machine reflexes, performed at computational speeds that leave human thought by orders of magnitude in the dust. This fusion of AI also provides the potential for totally new strategy. Rather than flying solo, such a jet could be the command node of an aerial ecosystem, directing swarms of unmanned drones as its extensions. These drones would be armed with more weapons, drop electronic countermeasures, or act as decoys to saturate enemy defenses. A single unstoppable manned or half-autonomous fighter could thereby control scores of AI-operated craft, building up a networked, layered system of control of the skies. This is not a new jet, it is the introduction of a new paradigm of air war, one in which human pilots play less the role of dogfighters and more that of commanders of AI-powered air fleets. The potential of such a breakthrough goes far beyond the battlefield. For enemies observing this develop, Musk's disclosure serves as warning and deterrent. Air dominance has long been a building block of contemporary military prowess. Countries covet equality in the air because command above can determine results below. An uncatchable fighter plane doesn't just incline the scales, it turns them on their head. If the US actually has such a capability, other powers like China or Russia are compelled to face a close to insurmountable technology gap. The psychological impact of this cannot be overstated. Warfare has always been at least partially dependent on perception. Whenever one party perceives its adversary has an unbeatable edge, deterrence sets in and war is often avoided before it can start. The very acknowledgement of the existence of such a jet might encourage rivals to hesitate, rethinking plans or rethinking escalation on terms that maintain US hegemony without firing a single shot. Technologically, this news also celebrates the unprecedented union between private enterprise and weapons development. SpaceX has already shown how rapidly innovation can happen when out-of-the-box methods are applied to space exploration. The creation of reusable rockets, once deemed impractical, utterly transformed the economics and logistics of space travel. If the same philosophies are brought to military aviation, fast prototyping, vertical integration, constant testing, the outcomes could very well be revolutionary. Musk's involvement, even indirect, serves to underscore a dissolution of boundaries between civilian innovation and military technology. This merging of effort speeds progress far more than can be achieved by government programs alone, and it puts the US in a position to dominate not only military aviation but overall global technology leadership. The economic impact is just as significant. Building a fighter of this quality takes mind-boggling investment, not merely in raw materials and production but in computational infrastructure, AI research, propulsion systems, and advanced energy solutions. Defense contractors, research centers, and engineering companies involved in such ventures will be at the center of one of history's most lucrative and strategically significant races. For the US economy, this means a wave of high-tech employment opportunities, increased research capacity, and strengthened dominance of the international defense market. However, with this economic windfall comes ethical and strategic issues. If one country enjoys a monopoly on unstoppable air power, how does that redefine international security structures? Might it create peace through deterrence, or inspire desperate actions on the part of enemies who seek to balance their disadvantage through asymmetrical channels such as cyber warfare, sabotage, or weapons of mass destruction? The cultural significance should not be discounted either. Sophisticated aircraft have always stirred the public's imagination. From the mystery of the State Route 71 Blackbird to the advent of stealth fighters such as the F-117 and F-22, every new revelation has stoked interest and inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and even movie makers. An unstoppable fighter plane, however, blurs the boundaries between science fiction and science fact. It recalls imagery not dissimilar from fictional futuristic starships, announcing to the world that humanity's technological frontier continues to advance at dizzying speed. But it also compels a rethinking of the pilot's place. In this new era, the fighter pilot is no longer the dashing duelist of dogfighting airpower, but the steward of AI systems performing maneuvers no man could imitate. Heroism changes from instinct and bravery to planning and leadership. The mythology of the solo pilot as an aerial knight gives way to the vision of human-machine partnership on unprecedented terms. Geopolitically, the news of such a weapon shakes through alliances and rivalries. U.S. allies should feel secure, knowing their defense canopy is underwritten by technology no enemy can match. But this consolation is one of disquiet, increasing their reliance on American defense and raising questions about sovereignty. For foes, however, the math changes dramatically. To match such a jet in a head-on confrontation may be out of the question, so they will instead innovate elsewhere: space weapons, cyber attacks, electronic warfare, or anti-satellite technologies. The invincible fighter can rule the skies, but its foes will try to sabotage the systems behind its success. Thus,